Hey guys, and welcome to episode number 62 of the Happy Knitting Podcast. My name is Julia and I'm coming to you from Germany. Today is Tuesday, the 25th of October 2016. I'm so glad that you're joining me today. I really wasn't sure when I was going to record this week because life has just been pretty busy, but I'm trying to squeeze out a short kind of episode this week. So I'm so happy that you're joining me today, and if you're a new viewer, I'm so excited for you to be watching this. I really hope that you'll like it, and if you're coming back every week, then thank you ever so much. I really appreciate it. So this is a podcast about knitting and sometimes also spinning and sewing. And I will talk about finished objects, works in progress, some spinning, a little bit of acquisitions, and then I'll talk about my life and what's been going on at the end. So if you're not interested in that, that's totally fine. So somehow I feel like my recording is my setup is a little bit different than usual, so I hope that's okay. So let me start with finished objects, and you might realize that I'm wearing it. I finished my boyfriend's hat. And this was originally a socket hat, which is a free pattern on Ravelry, but honestly I thought about it and I changed the stitch count, I changed the needles, I changed the brim, I did different decreases, so I don't think I can really call it a socket hat anymore. But it is a hat knit out of sock weight yarn. It's out of a fingering weight yarn, a silk and merino blend from this firm called Beauty Wool. And I don't think they sell online. They have an online presence, but they only sell on fairs and in their brick and mortar store. But anyways, I finished the hat. As you can see, my boyfriend didn't want any slouch to it, so I made it very fitted, which I think turned out perfectly. I did a double brim, for which you can find lots of instructions online if you're interested in that. I cast on 136 stitches. And I knitted on a US size 1 2.25 millimeter needle. I didn't really write down how I did the decreases, but I did sort of swirling decreases instead of the decreases that were written in the pattern. Not because I didn't like those, but because I usually just kind of do whatever with hats, and that's what happened with this one. But yeah, it fits really nicely, and because of the double brim, it's actually really warm. I'm wearing this for the first time right now, and I'm really liking it, and it goes perfectly with Kai's jacket and the stuff that he usually wears. I was really hoping that I would be able to take a photo of him and show it to you guys, but so far no luck. So maybe I'll share a photo of him wearing the hat sometime in the future, or maybe just on Instagram. But yeah, this is finished. I'm really happy with it, and I was pretty much close to, I think I had started throwing in a couple of decreases last week, so I just finished it up within like an hour or two. It didn't take very long at all. So that's my only finished object for this week. The other knitted object that I'm wearing is my squishy shawl, or Le Moelleux shawl by Mina Philipp. But I knit this a while ago, but just to go back on this a little bit, I wear this all the time. This is my absolute favorite shawl that I've knit. And I thought that because of the colors, I wouldn't really wear it that much because it doesn't really go with everything. But for me, it really turns out I can really wear it with anything, and it is super warm, and the brioche just makes it squishy. And yeah, basically I think my friends and family have not seen me wear anything else but this all the time lately, so that's really good. So that's it for my finished objects. Let's go into works in progress, and I'm warning you, all I have to show you are socks this week. My knitting mojo has kind of been in and out, and I know that I said I was going to cast on a sweater and do all these things, but somehow it just never happened, and now that I'm going away very soon, in fact in a week today, I didn't really want to start any big projects either, and yeah, so I just have the socks and my sock yarn blanket to show you. So this is my blanket. I won't try to show you the whole thing today because you might remember the last time my camera kind of crashed down. But I did a couple of squares, but not very many. I can't even remember what I did. I knit 3 squares this week. This one you might remember is a German indie dyed yarn from Farbenpracht Garne on Lavanda. This is what I used to knit my boyfriend's socks a couple of weeks ago. This one is the Lalbear BFL base in the something Rooster colorway. Happy Rooster? I'm not quite sure. This is what I use for the Shailin shawl for my sister. And this is Knitpicks Felici. Lynn of the Sunshine and Bubblegum podcast, she sent me a mini of this because this was the first yarn that she used to knit socks. And she sent me enough of a full repeat. So I think I have enough to make a second square with entirely different colors. So I think it's Felici in the Time Traveler colorway. So 3 squares isn't very much, but granted, I haven't been at home very much in this last week, so that explains a little bit why. So that's my sock yarn blanket. It is quite big now, as you might be able to tell. And all the details about this and all my other projects are on my project pages on Ravelry. And I always link everything in the show notes, which you can find in the Ravelry group, which is called the Happy Knitting Podcast group. So that's my blanket. Next, I have a couple of socks. These ones are in a bag, also from Lynn. I won a prize, and this was part of the prize. And I believe she opened an Etsy store. If I saw it right on her podcast, she has started her Etsy store, which I believe is also called Sunshine and Bubblegum. But I will try to find that and link it in the show notes if you guys are interested. In here are Kai's birthday socks. I'm doing lots of gift knitting lately. This is for Kai as well, obviously, and these are his birthday socks, and he does not know about it. You might remember that I tried to knit him secret socks before, and that didn't work out. But these ones he actually hasn't seen, or if he has, he didn't tell me, but I don't think he has. I've been super careful, and I have a hoe. I have the first sock finished, so that's a half finished object. And you can see the stitch marker is where I was last week. And I'm almost done with the second one. I have about less than half of the foot to go and the toe, and then these will be done. Which was the goal, because we're going away and his birthday is pretty much straight after we get back. So I really wanted it to be done, because obviously I can't knit on these on our holiday because he would see them, and yeah, they're almost done. They should be done pretty soon. The yarn that I'm using is a commercial sock yarn from Lang Yarns. It is their super socks. Hang on. Super socks color, and the colorway number is 86. And it's just a standard sort of sock yarn. It's the first time that I'm knitting with this. I have quite a few balls of this in my stash, and I've also used it for swaps and stuff because I think they have really, really good colors. Come on, folk. Sorry. But yeah, this is the first time I'm knitting with it. I'm really, really liking it. I only found that my gauge was quite a bit different with this yarn, so if you're knitting with this, you might want to check your gauge and make sure you don't end up with the wrong gauge, because that would be really annoying. But just to give you a close-up, this is kind of what these stitches look like. If my dear camera actually focused on it properly. But yeah, I think it's really, really pretty. I did a 1x1 rib, which somehow lately I'm really into the 1x1 for 20 rows, and then just a stockinette sock with a fish lips kiss heel. So I purposely did not match these because my boyfriend has quite large feet, so I don't really feel comfortable winding off too much yarn just in case I need it. So when I finished the first one, I was just going to go on with the second one, but I realized that I ended with the gray. And I didn't want to start both socks with the gray and then have them not match, so I wound off a little bit. So this one start with the yellow, so they completely don't match. And I really like it. I really like socks if they're matchy-matchy or if they don't match at all. What I don't like is if the repeat is kind of like half a centimeter off or something. That really, really annoys me. But yeah, I'm really, really happy with how these are turning out. And they should be done soon. And these are on US size 1 higher sharps. So that's my first work in progress, and hopefully next week this should be a finished object. Sorry, I feel like the light is not great today. Next, in my lovely bag that I also got from a swap. I think all of the bags that I have are either gifts or from swaps, which is just amazing. In here are my socks. And should I tell you about the yarn first? This is the yarn that I'm using. It is a yarn from a dye that I haven't tried before. It's from Somerset Yarns on Etsy, and they're obviously in the UK. And this is their Unicorn Pop colorway in the Superwash Merino and Nylon sock. So this is what the colorway looks like. I think it is absolutely gorgeous. I'm kind of worried about how small my cake is already. I hope I won't run out. But yeah, I'm absolutely loving this with this project. And I have a hoe again. So these will need a little bit more explaining, but I'll show them to you first. The pattern that I knit for these are the Charade socks. And unfortunately, I don't know the designer's name. But it's a free pattern on Ravelry. And I think it is just so beautiful. I only knit the pattern on the front of the sock. Firstly, to save time, because this is a little bit more time intensive. And secondly, to ensure that there would be enough stretch with the pattern. And then I have been looking at this pattern for a while. This is the heel from a new pattern called Vanilla is the New Black. And that's by Annie Fletcher. And as you can see, it's a very, very different heel construction. So you basically knit the heel flap in the round. And then you just have a couple of short rows at the bottom, and that's all I'm going to say because it is a paid for pattern. But as you can see, this is very different from sort of your standard sock. And it was very different to knit as well. I thought it would be really fast, but I did find it quite time intensive. But didn't it come out absolutely beautiful? I absolutely love it. And I have tried this on now, and it fits really, really well. You have so much space. I think especially if you have a high instep, these socks would be, or this heel pattern would be really, really great for you because you can see how wide the sock is at this point. So originally I thought maybe the whole sock was a bit too tight, but these fit me very, very well. Obviously I haven't worn them for a long time, but so far I'm really happy with it. And I believe the Vanilla is the New Black pattern. They have a coupon code for October just on the Ravelry page, so maybe you would want to take advantage of that. If you've never knit a sock before, I'm not sure if I would recommend the heel pattern because it's not that anything is wrong with it, but I think it's better to knit it if you have a little bit of experience because they didn't go into too much detail with some of the things, and once I was actually very confused. Having said that, it does work perfectly fine, and there's nothing wrong with it at all. I just would advise if you're knitting your very, very first sock and you have no idea about sock construction, then maybe you would want to try a different heel first. But yeah, I'm really, really happy with it, and I think I talked enough about the Charade pattern that I used on the top of the sock last time. Let me show it to you once again because I just think it is absolutely beautiful and it complements the yarn really, really well. It does take a little bit of time, I will say, but I'm very happy with these. Also about the Vanilla is the New Black heel, it's important to note that the heel is like it elongates the leg very much. So I had this much knit, which is a short cuff for me when I started the heel, but you can see that the cuff is actually turned out very, very long, which is just the way that the pattern and the heel are constructed. So keep that in mind, even if you like long socks, that this will give you very, very long socks if you don't start it early enough. But yeah, I'm really, really happy with it. It did feel like this first sock took forever, but that's also because I kind of took a break and I was away a lot, so yeah. And yesterday I started the cuff of the second one, so I've done the cuff and maybe 3 repeats of the pattern. But yeah, I'm really happy with these. Ideally, I would like to finish my socks, at least most of my socks, before we go away, so I have no problems with Kai socks. And these ones, I'm not sure, but I really don't want to take socks with me that are almost finished, or I would like to take completely new projects just so I don't have to take so much with me. So maybe I can at least get these past the heel or something before we leave, because we have an entire week, and then they'll be easy and quick to finish when I get back. And again, I'm using Higher Sharps US size 1, 2.25 millimeters. And I'm really, really liking the yarn, by the way. I think I told you, I've posted on Instagram about it, how beautiful it is, and I really like the sock base. So I can highly, highly recommend it. And it's definitely on the list with a couple of other dyes where I really want to order yarn again as soon as we get back. Next, I have a new cast on. in my bag from Nalibes, which is a German Etsy store, and she sells yarn and bags. And in here I have a new cast on because I was kind of losing my knitting mojo and I didn't really know what to knit, so obviously I cast on more socks. And I cast on socks with yarn that I've been wanting to use for a while. I showed you this a while ago. Tausendschön is another German dyer, and I've used the yarn before, but it's been quite a long time. And I just kind of noticed that these socks have worn really well, the ones that I've knit before. So a few weeks or months back, I joined their sock yarn club, expecting 3 shipments, and instead I got 1 shipment with 3 skeins of yarn. So I'm not really quite sure how that worked. Obviously, I kind of ordered something different than I thought I did. But anyways, I got 3 skeins of beautiful yarn, and I really just wanted to dig into one of them. So this is the one that I started. This is, it doesn't have a colorway name. It just says Verwegenes Special number 2. And it's a 75/25 superwash sock yarn. And let me just show you the colors. I think they're really, really pretty. Nice and speckled, and yeah, I just thought, well, if I'm not really sure what to knit on, I'll just cast on another sock. So yeah, as you can see, I've made some progress. I think I cast this on 3 days ago or something, before Kai's parents got here. And then I just tried, because it's super easy vanilla knitting, and I couldn't obviously knit on my boyfriend's vanilla socks because he would see them. It just made sense to have another vanilla pair that I can just knit on, and I think I pretty much knit up to the heel in one night while we were just having drinks with their parents, with his parents, on the couch and stuff. So yeah, once again, I don't know what's up with me, but lately I really like the 1x1 rib. So I did 15 rows this time, and then just a stockinette sock with a fish lips kiss heel. And I'm about halfway down on the foot. These are for me. I cast on 64 stitches, but I feel like they're kind of big, but I don't really mind. If they're too big, I will use them sort of as house socks, in the way that sometimes I like to carry a pair of socks with me when I go to other people's place, or at home you can just kind of wear them on top of other socks, which is usually not what I do with my hand knit socks. But every now and then I feel like it would be nice to have sort of like a bit of a looser pair. And obviously I won't have to worry about stretching them out or anything. So yeah, I'm super happy how these are knitting up. I really like that they don't sort of stripe, but the speckles are relatively even. And yeah, I think it's a super, super fun sock. And I do like knitting with their yarn. I think it's a sort of standard sock base. It's also quite affordable, but the yarn is very soft. And since I've knit my previous 2 pairs out of the yarn like almost a year ago, and they're still in really, really good condition, I think I can definitely recommend this yarn. I'm not sure if they send to anywhere outside Germany though, I'm not quite sure. But anyways, that's my last pair of socks, and these ones are on my Knit Pro Nova fixed circulars. And you know how I have kind of a thing going on with needles, and lots of needles I don't like. I'm very picky about my needles. These ones are the ones that I like the most after my high sharps. But I think I'm going to invest in a couple of extra pairs of higher sharps, because these ones are fine, but they're a little bit too sticky for me, and I just love the higher so much. I think I'm eventually just going to buy some more, because yeah, these ones are fine. These are my second favorite probably, but I still feel like sometimes it's a little bit more sticky than I'd like them to be. So yeah, that's it for my works in progress. Next, I have a tiny bit of spinning to show you. This weekend I just decided to spin up some really thick sort of yarn, which I can either use for a hat or a sort of, what's the English word? Oh, I have a total blank right now. Like a headband sort of thing? I know in German it's called Stirnband. Anyways, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. And especially with hand spun, sometimes I really like thicker yarns because they're great for gifts. I really like giving people hand spun knitted items because they're just a little bit more special, and a lot of the times when I spin quite thin yarn, so then it takes a really long time to knit. So yeah, I decided to spin something really nice and thick, either for myself or for someone else, and this is what I spun up. So this was from Rolex that I made myself. I think I pretty much just put on some kind of lots of blue and a little bit of pink and red and white merino fiber, and I spun this really thick. This is probably the thickest I've spun on my wheel. I spun 6 singles and then I did a chain ply. So this is a 3-plied yarn. So this is super duper squishy and soft. I really like it. I'm not sure if you can see it, but I kind of spun it a little bit thick and thin. I didn't really take too much care, and I think it turned out really well. And this is going to be perfect for some kind of hat or something, like a small winter sort of knitted item. I have about 80 meters in, I think it's about 70 or 75 grams. So it's not super much, but I think it should be enough to make something with it, and this is exactly what I needed. And obviously this spun up relatively fast. I have a few sock yarn spins in mind, which will be a whole different story, but at the moment I just don't really have the patience to spin that much. So yeah, that's my spinning for this week. On to acquisitions. I didn't buy anything, which is good. I've been really good with not buying stuff because we're going away. I think that might change when we get back. But yeah, I feel really good about that. But I did get a couple of things in the mail. First of all, a friend of mine, Stephanie, who has a bag full of crochet podcast, and she does a lot of crochet designs, and she's also test knitting my current pattern. I sent her some hand spun yarn about a year ago, I believe, or maybe less than that, but a while ago, and she always wanted to send me something in return, which I really didn't expect, or I wasn't really waiting for anything. I was like, that's fine, you know, I get spoiled so much, it's fine to spoil someone else. But she did send me something, and it arrived this week. And I have to be careful showing you this because the bag is broken. But she sent me so many minis. They're really lovely. I'm not going to go through all of them, but you can see it's a lot of minis, and there's a couple of really fun ones in here. I think you can see this crazy neon yellow that I absolutely love. I think this would be great in my blanket. Yeah, that's like really fun colors, and she sent me a lovely card, or 2 cards, describing what everything is. I don't really know it off the top of my head right now, but she sent me some really lovely minis. I've been trying so hard to not knit them into my blanket, but I think some of these will go into my blanket today. And she sent me a beautiful card. I really love cards, and I really appreciate them. And she also sent me a bunch of teas, because, I mean, who doesn't love teas? And she sent me a lot of like chai and stuff, which I really like. So I'm probably going to dig into these today as well. So thank you so much, Stephanie. I really didn't expect such a nice, lovely package. And yeah, it was really great to get. And that's pretty much all I got. But then today, just as I walked in, ready to record my episode, I had something in my mailbox that I didn't expect at all. I didn't even have time to thank her yet. But a lovely person in the knitting community, which I think a lot of people know, who is CJ. I think a lot of people in the community know how absolutely amazing she is, and she just sent me the most wonderful card, which, well, I will definitely not show you, but I just wanted to, you know, show you this beautiful card. Again, I love card, I love stationery and all that, and it was just such a beautiful card. I couldn't just not mention it, and so thoughtful, and she's just one of these amazing people. So I just really wanted to also say thank you on the podcast to you, CJ, because yeah, you brightened up my day, and that was so lovely and unexpected, and yeah, it made me really happy. So yeah, that's it for my acquisitions. I feel pretty good about not buying as much yarn lately. I also realized that right now I think I have the perfect size of stash. I feel like at the moment I just have so many things that I want to knit with, and I'm not overwhelmed. So yeah, I'm really happy about that. So that's pretty much it for all the knitting content. So if you're not interested in my life, that's totally fine. In that case, I'll just tell you where you can find me. So you can find me on Ravelry as Wupfi, which is WUEPFI. We have the Ravelry group, as I mentioned before, the Happy Knitting Podcast group. And my Instagram is also the Happy Knitting Podcast. So that's where you can find me, and I will warn you, I'm going away in a week and we'll be in Thailand for 2.5 weeks. And already now I haven't been really knitting that much, and I will probably post a lot of travel photos. So if you're only interested in knitting content, I won't guarantee anything there probably, because I won't be taking that much knitting. I'm not planning to knit much there as well. It will probably be kind of a bombardment of holiday pictures, so I hope you guys don't mind. But yeah, that's where you can find me, and I will see you next week. I will record once more, possibly a short episode again before I leave. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week. And for those of you who are staying, my life has been super busy. I really didn't expect that. Last week, I spent the majority of last week traveling and visiting friends, because Kai was in England the entire week, so that gave me the perfect excuse to also go away and catch up with my friends in Würzburg, which is where I studied and lived for the past 4.5 years. So I actually wasn't feeling very well, but I decided to go anyways, and took the train to Würzburg, and I stayed with my friend for 3 nights and caught up with so many wonderful people, and I met my sister who lives there now as well, and a lot of stuff has happened, honestly, like nothing that happened to me, but it was an emotional time for a lot of the people that I visited, so it was super, super lovely, but also quite exhausting. But yet I'm so glad that I actually went there and saw my friends. That was really, really great. And then on Thursday, I took the train to my family's place, so I stayed at my family's place overnight with my parents. And then on Friday, because my family was going in the same direction as Munich, they drove me back here, so that gave my grandparents the opportunity to see my apartment as well, so that was lovely. And then on Saturday and Sunday, my boyfriend's family was in town. So you might remember her sister was already here the week before, and this time the entire family was in town, and they stayed overnight in our apartment. And again, we went out for lots of food. We had ridiculous amounts of tea and coffee. So yeah, it's just been super, super busy. And then yesterday, which was a Monday, again, my grandparents and extended family were in town to celebrate my grandma's birthday. So yeah, it's just been a super, super social week, which has been great, but also sometimes I wish that, it wouldn't be, for me it comes in phases. You have phases where it's super, super quiet, then you have phases when it's super, super busy, and there's sort of like no in between. So that was kind of tough, but yeah, it's been really good. And then I kind of expected, because this is the last week before we go away, I expected this week to be super boring and I just to have lots of time, but as it turns out, it's another super busy week, which is good. It's good to be busy, but I'm just realizing that a few things need to get done, and I really just haven't even had the time to think about them. So yeah, lots of travel planning still has to be done. In other amazing news, so yesterday or the past couple of days, it's just a lot of stuff has happened that I really don't want to talk about, but it's been pretty emotional, and it's been sort of so emotional that all thoughts of my thesis and my job hunt and everything just kind of completely went to the back of my head. Didn't even think about it. And then at night, I called my boyfriend, and he usually calls me back whenever he's time. So I was just kind of walking around the apartment and noticed my phone ringing and didn't really think of anything. And when I answered, it actually turned out that I was invited to a job interview on Thursday, which is the day after tomorrow. So they really wanted to see me before we go away. And that was amazing. I still am just over the moon with that. I did not expect that. And to imagine that, the first response I get to all of my applications is that they want to invite me to, that's just super, super, super amazing. So I'm hoping I'm not jinxing anything by talking about it, but that totally brightened up my day as well. And I completely did not expect that. Of course I knew that there's a possibility that things could go right, but I wasn't expecting it at all. So now, instead of planning travels, I'm trying to get ready for my job interview, and yeah, I've had job interviews before, but not for like a proper full-time, really, really awesome position. So please cross your fingers. Like I said, I hope I'm not jinxing it, but that was really great news. So I think, yeah, lots of stuff has happened, hasn't it? It's been pretty busy. This week is going to be, again, meeting people and also preparing for the job interview, and then we're leaving on the Tuesday next week. And obviously, I have not really seen my boyfriend very much either because he's been away for work travel and then family was here. So we really just need to also sit down and plan a few things and get stuff in order. So yeah, things are going pretty well. Like I said, I didn't expect to have a job interview before we leave. I'm really glad to have that opportunity. So I'm again not sure if I'm going to have too much knitting to show you next week, but like I said, I'll try to at least do some kind of short episode next week again before we leave. And we're only away for 2.5 weeks, so it won't be a huge break either. So with that, I think I'm pretty much done with everything I had to say, wanted to say. So I hope you guys have a wonderful week. As usual, I would love to hear from you. I always get so much joy and happiness out of this community. It sounds like such a cliche, but it is very true. So I'd better get going. I hope you're doing well, happy knitting, and I will see you next week. Bye!